Everybody's making the call to be an entrepreneur. Like everybody, everything you see on social media is start your own business, Yeah. This is how you set up your LLC. This is how you do it, which is great. But what is difficult is if you've got that great idea and you set up the foundation of the business, but you don't know how to run the business.
Yes.
All of the keys, in my opinion, are not being talked about.
Listen, y'all, I'm so very excited for this episode. You really want to make sure you hear these nuggets here for two major reasons. So reason number one is because our guest today, she is a part of an organization that they are partnered with different companies that are looking for diversity, looking to hire people that have certain skills. So she's going to break that down so that way many of you will have a major opportunity to be able to look into the organization she's a part of and be able to get some amazing jobs in the tech industry. That's reason number one that you need to stick around to the end. Reason number two is because we talk a lot about six-figure careers in tech, making this huge bag, all that good stuff, but she also is going to be able to break down some careers that we've never talked about that are go unspoken that you need to check out, as well as how to actually get 7 figures in this space and potentially even more. So please make sure y'all have y'all notepads out. Make sure you are ready for this conversation because this is going to impact so many of you. As always, make sure y'all leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. So that way you're able to rewatch this later. The algorithm will remind you of it if you don't get to finish it. Other than that, let's go ahead and get into this interview for y'all. So Otissa, I'm so excited for you to be on Tech is the New Black.
Thanks for having me, Cyrus.
So we met at InvestFest recently. Mm-hmm. And I met a lot of people there. There's a lot of people for us to meet and talk to. And I can say hands down, you're the person I was most excited to meet. I had told you recently that I was trying to remember, I could not think of your name.
Yes.
And then you messaged me on LinkedIn as we were actually starting to finalize our guest list for the recording. And literally, as soon as I saw, I got so excited. I was like, yo. I was literally going through my text messages like, yo, what is her name? Like, because I knew I had texted you. So I'm very excited, y'all. This is going to be a huge blessing for y'all. Y'all can already see how eager and excited I am to interview her. So again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So let's get into it.
Yes.
All right. So you shared with me before a statistic about small businesses from the Inc. 1000 list, a statistic that actually was incredibly startling to me. Yeah. So can you explain to people what that statistic was and break down for everyone like what that means?
Yeah. So basically, and I'm going to paraphrase the article, but it was about how there's this list of all these wonderful small businesses. They're out the gates with a bang, but how they don't survive. So some of the things that you see with the larger organizations, they have a lot of support, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of small businesses, these are people with fantastic ideas. They may have some knowledge of their expertise, so whatever that niche is for their business, but they don't know how to run a business.
Okay.
And so they suffer, right? At a certain point, you can be making, money, your company is doing really well, and then you hit a wall. And I think every entrepreneur of a small business hits that wall. Yeah. It's overwhelming. You're wearing all of the hats, and then you have to all of a sudden kind of start to delegate, and it's hard, as well as your business can suffer. Because you're trying to do all the things. So if you are the talent for the business, you don't want to have to be, the cook, the order taker, the supplier, the person who does the customer service. Like it gets to be quite overwhelming. And a lot of entrepreneurs either burn out or the business actually just suffers and kind of, dies.
That's a really serious thing that I think most people don't think about. Like most people, what I've noticed is that they'll say, well, I have this amazing idea. I'm going to do it. I'm going to grow it. I'll figure out how to do all that other stuff. But like you mentioned, when you're the talent or you're the idealist or you're the visionary or you're the CEO, it's almost impossible to do all of those other pieces. And one of the things, even with Tech is the New Black, there's been plenty of times, Rhea, who's, y'all know Rhea's a part of the team. She's behind the scenes right now. Rhea has communicated to me like, yo, Cyrus, you need to give me some of these tasks of things that you're doing. And so that delegation piece, most people don't realize actually how hard that is and kind of navigating all of those components. And unfortunately, since most of us are not owners of these big companies, these corporations that have all of these systems in place, it makes sense. I know the statistic, because I looked it up after you told me about it, it was saying 65% of our businesses do not survive, like after the first year, the second year, and that's a higher percentage than the businesses for many of our counterparts when it comes to the failure rate.
Well, and that's the thing. I think that people of color, ours are probably suffering even more, which is why it lit a fire for me. Everybody's making the call to be an entrepreneur. Like everybody, everything you see on social media is start your own business. Yeah. This is how you set up your LLC. This is how you do it, which is great. I have nothing against that. But what is difficult is if you've got that great idea and you set up the foundation of the business properly, but you don't know how to run the business.
Yes.
It's like, so all of the keys, in my opinion, are not being talked about. I hear messages targeted toward the CEO, like just the CEO, but it's like, okay, but the CEO works with a team of people. You know what I mean? And it's like, and some of the CEOs first time in that role, right? They've never had all of these responsibilities, being in charge of the hiring and the firing and making the decisions for the next stage of the business, as well as the day-to-day operations. And so I believe, when a business is making some money, I'm not going to say you can do this starting out the gate, but I do believe if your business is making $50,000 to $100,000 a year, your business, right? You should now start to incorporate some systems and processes and people that can help you scale, if that is your intention, to the next level. Yeah,
Eric, who y'all know, Eric is our video and media director. I mean, he's right here behind me. So one of the things, Eric is like such a high level videographer. He works with and has worked with many of the different influencer, course creators, people that are financial gurus. He's been the videographer over the conferences and events. And he's seen some people that are legitimate. He's seen a few ones that are legitimate. And he also has seen many of them that are on some weird shady stuff and talking about all this money, but then they're trying to nickel and dime paying people, or they're not paying the people they're supposed to pay, even when it comes to like himself or other staff. And one of the things that he said multiple times, he always brings up the LLC thing. He's like, I'm so sick and tired of these people telling me go get an LLC.
Yes,
and do
it's
this
everywhere.
He probably wish he was on mic right now, but that's his fault because he ain't want to be on mic for this recording. So but no, that's something that he's talked about a lot. So really happy for you addressing that. It's really important. And there's so much, I'm really excited about this conversation, especially this next point. So let us know in the comments if y'all are aware, if y'all know who Keith Lee is. Of course, he's a food critic, on paper, but honestly, I think he's much more than a food critic. I mean, he's a huge powerhouse right now. It's so interesting the era that we're in, where you can have a phone and a tripod, or maybe not even a tripod, and you could basically be a media company or be it's just really interesting times. But let us know in the comments if y'all are familiar with what happened when he was either in Atlanta or in New York, where of course he goes to different cities, takes out popular food spots, gives his feedback. I'm not as familiar with him as most people are, but from my vantage point, I'm like, I don't feel like he's as much of a food critic as much as he might be more of a business critic, And again, he seems like a really like sweetheart of a dude. He seems really nice, really genuine. I don't have anything negative to say, but so when I say critic, I know that can almost sound like a derogatory term, but really, usually he's boisting up businesses and generating them a lot of business. But within his honesty, he gracefully addresses some of the flaws and mistakes within those businesses. And so Atlanta got their butt kicks when he came here. And I heard recently New York did too when he was up in New York. And so we had talked about this offline about how that is a bit of a reflection of some of the pieces, some of the components that you have expertise in. So can you share with everyone some of the things that you were talking about where you believe a lot of these small Black businesses, restaurants, what they're lacking that causes some of those mistakes that he was calling out? It's
like I said in the beginning, they are, and this is, I think the beautiful thing about small businesses and the existence of them, people have been able to raise their families, create generational wealth, the ones that have been able to scale and to sustain, even if they don't want multiple restaurants, maybe not everybody wants that. They just want that one, and they want that one to be consistent enough to take care of their families. We've seen that. We've patronized, all those kinds of establishments. I think one of the interesting things about what Keith Lee experienced, even in the backlash of it, was when I heard his comments, it was really more around, well, you were supposed to be open at blah, blah, blah time, but you were not. And so as a person who is like on Yelp or, just thinking that I can come to your business during normal business hours and it's not open and operational, that would be concerning. Or you run out of items. And this is not I'm in the service business, so it's not a thing on the example is restaurants, but it's not a dig at restaurants. It's the example that we're using to bring home the point of the operational piece. Typically, people that are running those establishments are doing or making the decisions on everything. It's a lot, and I think that quite often we may not spend enough with a business consultant, with someone, who can coach us and help us to be able to delegate some of those operational tasks so that someone else's job is to make sure the door is open at 9 a.m., to accept customers. Someone else's job is, to do the payroll. Someone else's job is, to do the ordering of the supplies, et cetera, et cetera. So sometimes it's not necessarily outside of the business. It may be delegating additional responsibilities and, paying a person who's already invested in your business to take on some new responsibilities so that you don't have to, and then holding them accountable, to be able to do those things. But it could be something like that, just as an example. Yeah,
that's so important. Let us know in the comments if y'all have ever experienced some businesses where you can tell that their problem wasn't the food, if it was a restaurant, or their problem wasn't their merch, if it was some type of like clothing brand company, but that their problem was their systems or maybe their customer service or something else that you noticed. Because we've all been seeing this, and we're incredibly talented. Like, we're incredibly gifted when it comes to all of those things. Whenever we touch something, even if it's tech, even if it's starting coming up with an amazing technology or AI idea, we're incredible when it comes to that. But those other pieces, those pieces that you're skilled in, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more in a moment. But those pieces you're skilled in seem to be the components that we're truly lacking. So now we talk about tech careers, and Tech is the New Black. Y'all know we're always talking about these high-paying careers in technology. But when I was at InvestFest and when we connected and we're talking, you were like, "Yo, Cyrus, look, I see some of the stuff you're doing. It's cool, but you're not talking about these other careers, these other jobs where people could make this other kind of money." And I'm like, "Yo, tell me, like, put me on." So look, can you please put me on? Put the people on. Tell us so that way we know about other opportunities that are in this space.
Absolutely. So one of the things, and I love this about your show, because what you're doing is you're showing at an entry level, hey, you want an entry in 6, 12 months, you can do it. Like, if this is, where you want to leap, you have some experience working, you can actually do these boot camps and actually get several feet ahead. And I think that's a beautiful thing. One of the things that when we met, I was like, oh my goodness, I was like, you don't talk about my kind of role. And so I've been in tech for 25-ish years. I'm dating myself a little bit, but that's okay. It's to drive home the point that I have seen the roles. I have friends who are in the roles. So yes, there are the business development representatives. That's a great entry point. So the business development representative is going to come in and they're going to, message the business to, would-be customers. So they may use lists like everybody else uses, that are basically companies that would be in your space and potentially a customer. So Dun & Bradstreet might be a list that they can buy. They can buy some things from LexisNexis. Now, these are big organizations, but there are smaller lists available out there that can be purchased. Business development representatives may farm that list. So they would be the ones who are cold calling them and trying to do a warm introduction. Or you were on a business's website. They know exactly that you visited their website and then someone follows up with a phone call to you. I saw you were very interested. What questions can I answer for you? So business development representatives, I don't see that a ton. There's also, for me, I have friends who are in events, wonderful friends who do events for these large corporations. And I think that there are people out here doing events all the time, and you may not have known that organizations in tech, they do events too. They do big conferences, but so they have their annual conferences, and some companies it's global. But in addition to that, they do smaller events in cities just to try and bring like-minded individuals together that are interested in their kind of business. All the time. So those are event planners, event planners, there's event managers.
If I can interject really quickly. So first off, Rhea, whenever we go on the events, I'll be telling her, I'm like, yo, Rhea, a lot of these tech companies that's here, they got events. I actually have a homegirl who she's the, I don't want to mistitle her role, but one of her roles with Amazon, it's either Amazon or AWS, but same thing basically. She is like essentially like their events coordinator and events manager. And like you mentioned, like they're having events, like she sends me events that Amazon is having, like cool events. Either it's an event that's just Amazon or it's events where it's like, hey, this is just for everybody who wants to get a ticket, but Amazon this is an Amazon event though. And I mean, those events are popping and she is like directly over it. And so to that point, it's like, man, that is something where I never really thought like, yo, the bag that could be got from that or just the opportunity that's in that space. I've talked to like Rhea about that a little bit, but again, not from a angle of I actually know that's a career, just more off of like all of these companies have several events throughout the year and they're paying money. They want someone to do things right. And so I didn't realize that was actually like,
and they want in-house talent, even though they might hire companies to support. So they may hire media companies and things like that, but even social media, all of these large companies that you know of have social media people. Like they now like have incorporated that into their business. Like we have to have in-house someone who only focuses on our social media exposure. So you have people who are social media specialists. We have videographers, they do all of think in terms of those events come with a lot of advertising, right? So all of those videos a lot of times are being shot in-house in studios, that these companies have where they bring their people in, they interview them about their subject, and, they push that out there. So there's videographers, there's the social media experts, the business development representatives. I talked about the events folks. There's also operational people, which is more so my forte. So if you are analytical, there's always what I would say, analysts that can kind of come in for sales teams, for customer teams. All of the things that are happening in and around the company are analyzed, right? Their big miss is all they're trying to figure out is how to get more. And so how do you get more? You get someone who knows how to work the numbers. So if math is your thing and you're like, you know what, I can do, analysts, those are sometimes entry level or maybe mid-level roles to be able to be an analyst we have them for sales teams. We have them for accounting and finance. We have all kind of operational support throughout the business. So every single department has an operational support person that is helping to work. Those are mid-level, sometimes entry-level. It depends on what your background is that people can get into. So I often think my role is more hybrid. So I think I shared with you, I'm usually kind of behind the camera doing some of the production for a particular team within our organization. So I work with the leader of that team. I keep my ear to the ground on what's hot within our company and what we should be discussing for that particular audience. And then I go and do all the work. And I just present, to him, hey, here's what we should do. You like it, you don't like it, what do you want more of? And we work that out. And then we, once a month, we bring together a very large global organization to view that content. So,
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, let me know if y'all agree or if you think I'm tripping in the comments. If I had have known about this stuff, like I love what I've done in tech. I thank God for it. But I'm like, if I had have known about some of these things, I probably would have looked into some of the stuff that you're talking about right now. Because these are some pretty cool things.
Well, and what's interesting is I kind of stumbled into tech. Like it was not. I'm like I was not looking for it, because typically what I was thinking was engineering, developers. Those are the people that do that. I didn't think there's a whole company. And so for a whole company, you need those roles as well. And you need more of them in a tech company than any other company. But there's all these other roles that have to support the business. And so it's like, if we think about it like that, like, you will see that there are more opportunities than you ever could have imagined, you know, that are available, and looking for diverse talent, because that's the other piece. I think we all know after George Floyd, all kinds of initiatives went out throughout, you know, global companies to try and beef up their diversity. Right? Take advantage of it. You know, go and start to put your hat in the
while
ring.
It's here, please take advantage of it.
Take advantage of it. There are these opportunities. They are looking, you know, to fill them. I mean, I'm not going to say you can't be qualified. You got to have something you bring into the table. But
if you're interested in breaking into a 6-figure career in tech, or scaling to over $500,000 in tech, then this video is for you. If not, then just swipe away. But I was able to break into the tech industry October 2021. And in my first year, I scaled to over $500,000 in tech. My second year, I was able to gross over $1 million. More importantly, I was able to freely help over 600 people break into 6-figure tech careers as well, and scale further in the industry. Now, the number one question I've been getting from people is, how was I able to do this? How was I able to make so much money? How was I able to also help as many people as I've been able to help? Well, aside from doing coaching calls and trying to spend a whole bunch of time helping people individually, I've decided to create the Tech Rich program, where I literally break every single thing down that I've done and what I've been doing to show others how they can break into tech faster, or scale to over $500,000 plus within their first few years in the tech industry as well. All you got to do, click the link in my bio. All the information's there. Check out the description. Message me if you have any other questions, and I'll see you on your journey scaling in tech. Yo, I love so much that you say that, because I kind of think of it kind of a bit like the military effect is what I think about, or what I call it, where like I served in the Marine Corps, and I remember when I joined the Marine Corps, you know, everyone in my hood was like, man, they're gonna put you on the front lines, you know, you're gonna, you know, be made unalived, you know, we can't say certain words but they're gonna unalive you, whatever. And I was like, yo, I'm gonna be an ammo tech. I literally just work in the supply warehouse. I'm not gonna see no action. But I realized, I said, oh, people assume that if you're in the military, you automatically are a grunt, or you're gonna be on the front lines. But it's no, the majority of jobs in the military are supporting the killers, like literally, like your support for the killers. And you know, like you have to have cooks that are military. You have to have admin. You have to have all of these variety of roles. You have to have the drivers that bring the stuff and drop it off. And the same thing is the case for tech, is what I realized, or this industry, where a lot of us think, you know, hey man, if tech, you have to be doing something technical. But just like you mentioned, no, everything surrounding it is still necessary. But also the beauty of it is that this industry tends to pay better for the same role that if you were in a different industry, you'll be paid significantly less for it. So I love you kind of hitting on those different pieces. In that same vein, so you're a bit of a hybrid, where you are high up in tech, high up in corporate, you've been killing it, crushing it. But on the flip side, you also are a business owner as well. And one of the most interesting things that I've noticed in the past few years is that, you know, the buzzword is entrepreneurship. Everyone's like, entrepreneurship, be an entrepreneur. But you mentioned something to me when we had talked before, which is intrapreneurship, something that people don't talk about. Like, you know, when you said it, I was like, oh yeah, I've heard of that at one point, but no one talks about that. Can you explain to people what intrapreneurship is and how it can actually benefit them in a major way when it comes to their business?
So I think and I did a presentation at a university in California about this, and to some would-be college students, because I think that quite often everybody doesn't want to be an entrepreneur, right? I did not want to initially. I was very comfortable excelling in tech, you know, very diverse roles, as well as upward trajectory, right? So comfortable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I wasn't like, oh, you know what? I'm stagnant. I was not stagnant. And so I think what it took me a long time to understand is how I approach work is really similar to an entrepreneur. So no matter what my patch ends up being, you know, with my role, I see it as my thing. All of the pieces, how I communicate with people, how I do the actual work, the efficiencies that I try, you know, to instill in the rigor of the work, all of that is that entrepreneur thing. So I'm working for this corporation. I have this thing in me that is in the vein of entrepreneurship, right? But I am not ready to have all of the guardrails removed from around me. So it's a safe space in a corporation, in a tech corporation, because for me in a tech corporation, I was always able to wear many hats. So the exposure to lots of different types of things was available to me. And I always took those opportunities on with like, oh, this is my thing. And how am I going to work my thing? And so that's that entrepreneur piece. It's you have this insight and responsibility of ownership of what you do in a corporation, right? It's your thing. You're very passionate about it. You want to do a great job. You bring results to your organization. Those are some of the same characteristics that entrepreneurs need. Maybe not all, but they are some of the same. That ownership piece, that innovative piece to take whatever your thing is and make it grow and make it, you know, bring results, right? I'm bringing the results for the organization, and an entrepreneur, you bring the results for yourself. Right? I have the corporate package. In the entrepreneur world, you've got to formulate a corporate, you know, your package. It's on you for how that package is formulated. So that's the most simplistic way of thinking in terms of an intrapreneur versus an entrepreneur.
Okay, so you've helped several companies when it comes to their systems and processes and kind of organizing and tightening things up. You're aware of a lot of the flaws that are happening when it comes to a variety of businesses, not just small Black businesses, but many small businesses in general. You've created something to help to fix the problem or provide a solution for a lot of these small businesses. Can you please tell everyone about your business and how it would help? And honestly, because we have a lot of startup founders that watch Tech is the New Black, and a lot of aspiring founders that watch. And again, the goal is for people to be successful. And so can you please talk about what you have created and how it's going to be helping businesses? So the article that you mentioned in the very beginning and, you know, struck a chord within me, just like, why are these small businesses not doing so well? I've worked for a lot of large organizations. I see the machine. I work within the machine. I'm a part of that, you know, that machine. So I get it. And I have a lot of friends that are in the same boat as I am. One of the things that I wanted to do is I saw the statistic, which basically says that, you know, numerous small businesses start out great, but they don't actually make it to the next level. So maybe year 2, year 3, they start to struggle. Sometimes even before then, if what they've got is innovative and, you know, lots of people are excited about it and it's moving really fast, they could, you know, reach those thresholds a lot sooner. So what tends to happen is because they're wearing all the hats, the entrepreneur, the leader of the organization, even if they don't call themselves that, they want to be the president or whatever, they're wearing a lot of hats. They burn out. They burn out. It's overwhelming. It's definitely not something that can be sustained over a long period of time. So what I wanted to do is let me come in, let's assess where you are. Have you ever had someone come in and assess where you are? Look at all of the different things, do an assessment, have you answer a questionnaire, talk about what your goals are, what you're trying to get to, and where you think the thing is, and then have an outside person come in and actually assess where you actually are. Big businesses do this all the time. I have done assessments in the business that we're a part of where I've done a full, sometimes SWOT analysis, I guess, and looked at all of the various ways in which we are currently solving a problem, and then the opportunities or gaps for how we're solving that problem that are not getting us the results that we want to get. I want to ask something that I wasn't planning on asking, but in the midst of hearing you talk about this, it's like genuine curiosity. And let me know in the comments if y'all, when I ask this question, let me know if y'all like, yo, I was wondering the same thing. Can you give like any examples of something that you've done with an organization, a scenario, or something that you've seen?
Yeah. So actually, one assessment that I just recently done is for, she's an independent therapist. Yeah. And she has a practice, basically. So she has, exposure to government contracts and, private clients, all the things. She does her own courses and all these different things. And so one of the things that I had her do is, hey, do the assessment. I came in, I talked to her, I listened to her. And I am a big proponent of coaching, because I think there's not a time where you can actually just have someone just listen to you without positioning something, and coaching, allows for that. So at any rate, we do the assessment and it's like, hey, here's actually where you should start. So that very thing that I've been talking about, this small business owner wearing all of the hats, exasperated by all of the stuff, but wanting and knowing that what you have is meant to be successful. Like the desire and the fire, all there. All that operational stuff that they'd rather not be doing is bogging them down. And so what I said is, you're a gift to your business. Like, you are the gift to your business, but the current way you're operating is not in the gift way. You know what I mean?
It's in the burden in a way.
Yeah, it's like a survival way. Okay. Honestly, you're just trying to survive and like make this thing grow and, have something substantial. And so conversations, I think, with the person yielded that, I was right. You're like, how do I put it? How do I say it? Like, I was right. But not to boast about it, but just the assessment. It's like someone outside looking in. You're like entrenched in it. It is, you're living, you're breathing it. I am someone who's from the outside who can come in, and what the business that we were talking about, Bravara, does is comes in and starts with that assessment and then breaks down with the services that we offer, which are project management, instructional design, administrative support, operational support, breaks down our area of expertise where we see that you can benefit. Right. And then gives you a scope of work that matches to what we believe you should start at. To have the maximum value, because no one is wanting to it's hard, right? So you want to be like, what is going to get me bang for my buck? And what, if I do this, is going to allow me to do more of the thing that brings in more revenue? That's what big businesses are doing all the time. They want to stop the things that are not bringing in the revenue, and they want to do the things that are more revenue generating, right? But some of those things, like we talked about, that military example of all of these supporting cast members around the organization, they still need to be done. You can't not do them or you won't survive either. So it's being able to clear out a bit of that dust. And with Bravara, we can come in, we can do the assessment, we can do that for you, and then we can set up the system and process so that you can delegate it to someone within your organization you think is able to do it. We can support you for a period of time, and then we're out. Right? Or we can stay on long term and we can help you go to the next thing, the second priority on your list. And I'm doing this already in the organizations that I work for. I help to launch products. So we're constantly figuring out what needs to be done, who needs to know, what's our process for actually getting it done and for getting to results.
I'm curious, as I was looking on your LinkedIn, so for those that are listening that might be saying, man, I would love to eventually have a career like yours. I would love to eventually pursue that route. Please don't try to do it out the gate, because we see a lot of people throwing stuff up saying, I'm a business consultant, like hire me to consult you for years. It's like you've never helped a business scale and you've never had a business. You should have one of those. I'm getting a little upset. I'm thinking about, I actually have somebody that I was cool with where she never had a business and never worked in corporate, never did a quarter of the resume that you have. And then she posted online saying hi guys, book me to consult you for your business. I was like, what are you doing? I was like, please don't turn into a scammer. Don't turn into one of these people. I was like, please don't do that. I was like, look, just hit me up if you need a little $5. I don't know if I'm doing more than $5, but no, jokes aside though, would you suggest project management for someone's like, okay, they want to start to at least build themselves up to go a path like yourself?
Yeah. So, and here's the thing with project management. Everybody does project management.
Okay.
So yes, there are certifications for project management, and it is a specialty and a discipline. So I will first say that. That is true. However, everything that you're doing is a project. So you have some of the components. It's like what I was talking about with the intrapreneur versus the entrepreneur. You're already like, you gotta, you have a big event coming up. There's 15 different tasks that you've got to do in order to make that event happen. The event is the project. It has a beginning and it has an end, right? You're starting it with nothing. And then by the end, you've got a full-fledged event that hopefully you're proud of and does what you want it to do. Yeah. So yes, I do believe for people who are detailed, because I'm gonna say, I think if you're not so detailed, project management might not be your thing. Start in one of the other things maybe that I talked about. But if you're very detailed and you are good at, I like to reverse engineer things. Okay. So I look at what is the complex problem. This is what I'm doing day to day and have been for many years. What is the complex problem that we're trying to solve for? Oh, okay. And then when do we need that done by? Okay. Who do I need to work with? Okay. What steps do I need to take? Do we have everything we need? Do we need to go out and get more, talent or help in order to actually get done what we need to get done? That's how I think. Yeah. That is not how everybody else thinks, and I'm aware of that. Yeah. But that is why Brevard is my gift, right? Because that is very easy for me to get to. It's not something that's a stretch.
One of the most in-demand roles in tech right now is project management. Don't believe me? You can look this up yourself, that the labor market research from PMI states that between now and the year 2027, there is a need for 88 million project management roles. Incredible demand. But not only is project management in high demand, it's paying on average $120,000 a year. So we're very excited to say that we recently partnered with a company called Anew Consulting. They specialize in project management certification. So for everyone that does their boot camp, not only are they educated in giving resources and mentorship, but also they are become certified in PMP as a project manager. So we're encouraging everyone to use our discount link, which is Cyrus300. They're giving us that link for our audience, so that way you can get $300 off whichever one of their courses that you choose, whether it's the 5-week course or the exhaustive weekend course that they have. So keep us posted on your journey breaking into tech as a project manager. I love that. Look, let us know if y'all getting a lot of value from this conversation. Look, I'm getting something out of this straight up. We are planning an event in the future, and we've been kind of wrestling with, we see a lot of different tech events, and shouts out to all the different tech events that are happening. We love them, support them. They are needed. But one of the recurring themes that I've been seeing with a lot of them is that, man, most of them are geared towards, all of the ones I've seen are geared towards, helping people get jobs in tech, which is great. But unfortunately, a tech event can't determine the market, and a tech event, furthermore, because there's always companies that are hiring, but a tech event can't determine the companies that sponsor them being also companies that are hiring. So what I'm noticing is that a lot of people go to these tech events and it'll be a plethora of tech companies there, and all of the companies will be like, oh, we're not hiring for any of the roles that the majority of us are trying to get in on. And so it just creates frustration. People are like, man, I paid $500, $800. I caught a flight, got a hotel. I just spent $1,500 of money I don't have to come to this event. And now I'm really just here just to party, and to see people that's making more money than me that's in tech. And just to be like, okay, hopefully I'll be there someday. And I've been seeing it more and more, and we as a team, we're talking collectively. We're like, okay, because we have a large audience, and our background is in doing events. Before even starting the podcast, this was actually the new thing for us. So we were like, okay, we know how to do events, we know how to market them, we can get a lot of people there. But our hesitation has been like, man, we don't want to do a big event. If it's like, what value are we going to bring people? There's a lot of people right now where they're making they're making millions of dollars from doing tech events. But it's like, what value are you truly bringing people? And that's something we were wrestling with, and we were thinking through it. And one thing I've started to notice is I've gone to more and more events. This kind of lines up with kind of just your heart, your vision, and what it is that you're doing. Is that's like, yo, I'm meeting a lot of Black and brown tech founders that don't actually know how to build a business. Now, they have an amazing idea. They'll partner with a developer or two. They might partner with a marketing person. But when it comes to those other components, or they might not know anything about marketing, or they'll say, I have a marketing person, but really they're just posting stuff on social media. You don't have a marketing person. Like, they don't have your pixels, and they don't know how to they don't know all the components that goes into it. And so we're like, yo, we want to do something to where it's, instead of just, we help a lot of people get in tech, but it's like, yo, what if we could do something that can service aspiring founders and current startup founders as well. And so I know I talked to you a little bit on the back end. We'll talk some more to see if there's an opportunity, like if it makes sense for you to possibly come and speak, because I mean, the things that you're doing are incredibly valuable and necessary for startup founders, because that's the way we truly get wealth. Again, we talk about, I'm here for the 6 figures. That's all you want, 100% totally. Look, if all you want is $50,000, praise God, God bless you. That's cool. That ain't my ministry, but that's you. Cool, run with it. But it's like, man, if we really truly want to build wealth, and this actually, I wasn't even thinking about this, but this actually leans directly into the next question. So many of us, we care about the 6 figures, but many of our counterparts are leveraging things like equity to walk away with 7 and 8 figures. And then of course they'll take the equity, they'll partner together, say, hey, we have all the pieces we need, the money we need to now start our own business, and blah, blah. That's a whole nother piece. But we pull back real quick. What is equity? How can we take advantage of it? And what's the kind of money that can be made from it?
So equity is huge. So I have been a part of the first tech company that I worked for. I think I was like employee number 50-ish. So in that first 100, and equity is really big at that point. So when you're thinking in terms of these tech startups, if someone is, let's just say they have a valid idea, investors are, because there's different kinds of businesses, right? In tech. Not everyone is trying to scale in a particular way, but for those that are, meaning they are going the venture capitalist route, where they're going to take in outside money in order to grow their business. In that outside money, basically what is happening is they're giving up a piece of equity, and they're also, so they're giving it up to the venture capitalists, is what I want to say. And then in addition to that, to bring people on board for a vision that is evolving, right? So we're not talking like Google, the vision is established. We know they work. Gonna be different there. But for the next Google, that isn't established, that doesn't have that notoriety, they may be like, you know what? We have people who believe in what we're doing. They believe there can be a 10x, 20x return eventually on what we're doing.
Like
so
OpenAI, maybe. Where people know about them, but they're not a public company yet.
Right. But they are doing their early stage of hiring, and they're growing really fast, and people are pouring money into them. So those people that come in, so that 50 to 100, oftentimes they will get the best packages. And so if the company does really well, you have your compensation, so you have your annual salary. In addition to your annual salary, you may get, let's just, for round numbers, you get 1,000 shares. Right? You get restricted stock shares that are basically going to be valuable one day when the company becomes public. So some of the companies that I was a part of, and even the current one that I'm a part of, they were not public when I first started. So that's where I talked about getting in and having that exposure. So yes, a lot of people are trying to get into the big companies, but some of these small tech firms are advantageous. Like it is a way to kind of find out what you're good at, wear a few different hats, have your talent be recognized to go to the next level. So the stock is basically where if those 1,000 shares, once that company goes public, they, ring the bell on Wall Street, they say they're now public, and the public gets to basically start to invest in that company. As the public is investing in that company, they're giving it a value. So they're saying, you know what, I believe that your company is worth $100 a share.
Yo, I love you're like really breaking down all of it step by step. Y'all, this is some really crazy game. Like people will like pay for a class to learn this stuff.
And I am really simplifying it. So there's a lot to learn. But so they say that the public, now that they rang the bell on Wall Street, has said that the company is worth $100. So all of the stockholders, like yourself, if you got in there, your stock, your $1,000 shares are now worth $100 per share. And then your company will typically assign a vesting schedule to that. Most companies is 4 years.
So if I could stop really quickly. So when you say the $1,000, so someone put $1,000 into it and then the stock is worth $100, essentially are you saying that $1,000 would turn into $100,000?
Correct.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yo, let me know, like,
because okay, and so but there's more to learn there.
Okay.
There's a strike price,
Okay.
right? So like if I got it before my company went public, just as an example, if I got it, I'm sorry, I'm hitting the microphone, but if I got it before the company went public, and at the time the company went public, it was deemed that the stock would be probably, the guess is it's going to go out at 50.
Okay.
Right? That's the guess. That's the professional guess.
Is that what it's called when they're shorting it?
Not really shorting it. It's basically a value that's being placed on the stock pre-IPO.
Okay.
Ish.
Yeah.
Right? And so then it goes out and exceeds expectations. That's where you get to the $100. It
Yeah.
exceeded the expectations of what they thought. They usually will give it a range. They can never give an exact amount, but there's a range. Like,
Yeah.
we think it's going to probably, based on your total addressable market, your TAM. So how many customers can Cyrus get? We believe that Cyrus's business is a global brand. There's no part of the world that he cannot touch. That gives you a larger total addressable market, right?
Yeah, because
And
you're not
so-
limited to just this region, so you can get
Exactly.
more clientele, more customers.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so that kind of company has more people interested in it.
Yeah.
Right. So at any rate, so you have that, you have the stock, it gains the value, you have the vesting. They're not going to give it all to you at once because they don't want you to run out of there. So they typically will say, we'll give you 25% per year. So every year you get 25% of your 1,000 shares that you can actually sell at whatever the current price is.
Yeah.
So
Yo, that's
kinda how it works.
incredible. Look, y'all, that was some game. I hope y'all were taking notes on all those
people are
pieces she
using it to buy
said.
houses, cars, start businesses, send kids to college,
Yes.
invest, buy property.
Yeah.
They use it for all
This
kinds
is
of
the
things.
game. Like many people, they get in at a company, and with that equity, when the company goes public, I've seen plenty of people walk away with tens of millions of dollars from them just working at a company, but they got in at the company at a great time and were paid not just in their salary, but within that equity as well, or or not stock options, but just overall equity. I don't want to start getting specific. Somebody in the comments gonna jump in. Well, that's
Yes.
not the technical term. Technically, it's stuff like that's gonna happen. So look. So much more I wanted to talk to you about, but this piece is really important. I know the audience cared about this a lot. You're part of an organization that's hiring for diversity. You're part of an organization that is partnering and working with companies that are hiring for diversity.
More looking for diverse talent.
Okay,
So-
looking for diverse talent.
Yeah.
All right. So can you explain what that is? Because
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are very interested in that. Can you please explain what that is and how the audience can kind of like jump in or take advantage of this opportunity?
So again, like I was talking about with George Floyd, lots of companies, not just the company that I work for, lots of companies put together a DEI program, so diversity, inclusion, or equity and inclusion, which is to basically try and find more diverse talent. So we all know at the top what it looks like, right? Yeah. It's like, how do we find more people that, reflective of, let's just say, the United States, to come in to occupy these roles and then one day be promoted into other roles. So that effort is underway now in a lot of organizations. And I will say we are early in doing it. We have been pursuing it. I'm a part of an employee resource group who's very passionate about that work and, really going, we got friends, they're talented and they could do these jobs, look here, look there. So we are having to lend our voice to inform some of these corporations, like, go look at these alumni associations or in these spaces to find talent.
Yeah.
So as well as just, word of mouth, telling people like, hey, check out these companies, to try and to get in. They're always looking for the qualified candidates. So of course, like I said, you have to have some qualifications, but I think that we are in more of a space today where people are willing to take a chance on people and they're willing to look at the diverse range of responsibilities that you've had to see how you could grow in a new space.